Well, welcome everybody to the Academy. I've got to say a huge thank you thus far. MarkByesky.com is growing every day. Our subscribers are growing every day. People are loving the products. We are now at nearly 90% returning clients, which tells you everything. First of all, thank you to all those who supported MarkByesky.com and the spiritual tools that we use. I think I clicked on this morning, and thus far for the past 2 years, the number one selling product is the negative cleansing energy sticks. And they are flying out. The double-edged sword is that we can't make them fast enough in Peru. But we're doing our best. We're having problems with the Peruvian government shipments, but we're doing our best. So if we run out in the next week, please just bear with us. It might be a gap of maybe 2 or 3 months, but that's as much as I can say at the moment, because the governments all over the world are cracking down on small businesses, which is a real shame. However, today is a beautiful day to talk about an amazing question asked, which I was blown away by and thought, oh, this is like, okay, this is deep. So if I'm right, I don't think I'm gonna be able to say the question because I didn't write it down. I screenshotted it, but I can't get to it now because I'm doing the video. Oh, you're a fool. Fool of a duke. Have a coffee. Just relax, Mark. You're on coffee. Do I look a little bit tired because we're working on the 4-day pure energy healing course, and we were up late last night. And Leila Satie was up late last night as well, so we've got 9 days to go. So thanks. We had another 2 join up last night. Thank you. Don't know where you're from, but thank you. Look forward to see you in 9 days. So what was the question? It was basically a question that they felt their fur baby, basically a spirit with 4 legs, what were here once and no longer, felt them in the house after they'd moved into the light, after they'd gone home, and then they moved home and they don't feel their fur baby anymore. Is it possible for the spirit to transition and move to another home? This is a really relevant question, and I can't believe this has never been asked before. It's relevant on so many levels, because there's a dilemma in this, and the dilemma is a little bit selfish at times, but then it is what it is. It is what it is. We want to feel our fur babies and our family in spirit. You know, we could have lost a child in the spirit world and so on, but I am going to share with you my knowledge of what I've learned and nothing else, and then you make your conclusions. You come up with a conclusion that you feel is right. I'm not here regurgitating other people's informations and books. I don't do that. I'm not interested in that. I am singularly the experience that I've had, and that's it. There is no more to me than that. So, what have I learned? I'm going to share a few different experiences with you, and then you can make your mind up. So, you've already said that, Mark. Stop repeating yourself. Yeah, parrot. So, the first one is, many years ago, I was asked to go to a property, and that property was of a beautiful soul who lost his life in a motorbike accident. I wrote about it in my book, and I went to the house because the father asked me to go, and I did a cleansing of the house. At that moment, when the father came in after leaving the house and left me there to feel what was going on, and could I feel his son, and was there any information? At the bottom of the house, there was a kind of a staircase. It was One went like that. They call them spiral staircases. And I was at the bottom of the staircase, right curled up underneath. And I was just sat there, and he came in and he looked at me and he said, "That's interesting." And when we finished, I'd spent a couple of hours there, and he said, I said, I don't know why, but I felt drawn to go down there and just sit there, just to be there. Strange, really, but I was just there and I felt comfortable, I felt happy. And I just felt I needed to be there. No idea why, but funnily enough, the door opened and the father looked at me and was wondering what I was sat there for, you know. When I'd finished, there was a few things that happened, and I explained that the picture on the mantelpiece needed to be moved because he wasn't happy with it there. I also said that I was in one bedroom where I felt really comfortable, and I was looking up at the mountain of Mijas, and I said, you know, he's happy looking at the mountain here. And I said various things, and when I'd finished, he said, "This is very strange because my son used to love looking up at the mountain, and he used to love sat down as a child down at the bottom of there where you were sat when I came in." And he said, and another medium came not so long ago and said that that picture needs to be moved. So he says it's very strange and how it all makes sense. Is there anything else? And I said the clothes need to be distributed to his friends because he misses his friends and wants his friends to have part of what he had in this world. And he said, you know, I was really just about ready to get rid of the clothes in the bedroom because it's been a pain and I didn't know what to do. And he said, now it makes sense, so I will do that. So that's what I got with. Now, why I mention that story is because the circumstance of the son dying, moving back into the light, was somewhere completely different and died somewhere else. And the feeling I got was spirit coming forward at that particular time and then leaving again. So it wasn't like the spirit was in that house and it stayed in that house. So the spirit came and went. Okay, so his son came and went. So I don't think, I'm not sure 100%, but if the father after that felt his son's spirit come and go or ever felt him at all, I don't know about that. I don't know. He never talked about that. But he did find it interesting. But the point being was, there is a different, okay, there's another story. The other story was, I was asked to go to a certain place where a boy had been killed, and it was on a motorway. So I had to drive. This happened 3 or 4 occasions, and we had to drive to where the spot was where the accident happened on the motorway, and we had to pull up outside of the motorway, just at the back of the motorway, because obviously you can't pull up on a motorway. So we were pulled up on a field and we walked to where the spot was, behind the guard, the metal long guard that I didn't step over, but just at that point. And we walked along, and I think I was being tested to see if I could feel anything. And I stopped and I said, I feel spirit here. And the lady cried and she said, this is exactly where he passed. At that point, I had to try and communicate with spirit that had the shock energy, that had not moved back into the light because of some circumstance. I don't always have the answer, but what I tried to do is help her son move back into the light. So we sat there together, held hands, and we had a few crystals. I had certain crystals that I like to work with to try and help spirit back into the light, to try and help me attune to them. And then it was like a psychic reading. So I would read for somebody that you might think is no longer here, but their spirit is here. It's just because it's not in a body doesn't mean that they're not here. Does that mean your body is who you are? No. Inside your body is who you are, and that's who I speak to. And a lot of times I'll tell you to shut up when I'm doing a reading, because I'm not speaking to your brain, I'm speaking to your spirit. And it's confusing for people and they get angry sometimes. And I'm saying, I'm not speaking to your spacesuit. I'm not speaking to you. I'm speaking to the spirit inside. And they get really angry sometimes and confused. But that's just ego, which is attached to this spacesuit. So I'm holding her hands and I'm communicating out loud because she wants to hear. So I said, you know, you're a beautiful soul and I can feel your energy. You're amazing. You're powerful. But just at this moment in time, there was a point where you had to leave this physical body, and now you are spirit, and that spirit now needs to leave and go home. And sometimes I don't connect, sometimes they don't hear, sometimes they don't listen, sometimes they don't want to listen, sometimes there's a lot of fear in that spirit. And some people say, well, when you turn to spirit, you're all seen and all. No, there's a transition between your physical body in between and the spirit world, and that's where it becomes hazy. It's the hazy part. It's foggy. So we're not really fully transitioned into the spirit world. And that's the part I played most of my years of a healer, the in-between, to help them move into the light. And it's a kind of specialist place because, you know, a lot of spiritual people talk to spirit who have transitioned, but not a lot of people talk to the in-between because it's challenging, it's not easy to help them move forward. Anyway, I managed to connect to this spirit, and then he left, and then it was easier for her then to connect with him because she couldn't feel him after there at the time that the accident happened. So once we've transitioned to the spirit world, we are free to be anywhere at any time, at any moment, in numerous places at any moment. So there is this kind of understanding that if a fur baby or a family member passes in a certain place, they can be in that place. Okay, they can just be in that place. If they're in that place, then you have to, and if they're in that place because they've passed and they're in between two worlds, then yes, we can feel them a lot more than them coming and going from the spirit world. Sounds strange, but that dense energy of in between is a lot more thicker to feel than spirit in between, than spirit that has transitioned. Might be a bit complicated, this. I get it, but I don't know if you do or not. Shall I carry on? So I try and use certain stories that people make sense of. So I was called to Ibiza and I went to 2 or 3 houses to do the same thing, but one of them was profound because one of the houses was a farmhouse which had been redone up, and the lady was having a bit of issue in the house and she doesn't know what it was, meaning that she could feel the spirit. She didn't know whether it was spirit that was coming and going. So I said to her, okay, I'll go around the house and let you know what this spirit is and where it is, and is it coming from our home world or is it actually in between? I sat down in one particular room, and as I sat down, my third eye opened and I could see the man behind me, even though I was sat somewhere else. And the man behind me was frothing from the mouth, and he died in this bed, or in this place, not on that bed, but in this room. I came downstairs after finishing and helping this man back home, and that I did. And I know I was successful because I could feel the conversation. I could feel what was going on. He was killed, but he was murdered basically by a company that sold chemicals for the farm, and those chemicals went into him and caused him to have a heart attack, a seizure, and a foaming of the mouth, and that's what I saw. It was later confirmed to me that it was true. Somebody had died in that particular room, and he died not of what I've just said, but died of natural causes. They wouldn't say because it would be illegal, and there would be hell to pay if you ever go against these big companies. So after that, everything was quiet and it was lovely, and it wasn't crazy in the house anymore. All these stories should make the pieces come together, hopefully. We look at situations where spirit comes and goes freely, and normally that's a whisper, that's a feeling, and it happens very spontaneously. It's not rigid all the time. If it's rigid and it's for a certain amount of time, if certain things happen constantly, then that's normally an indication to me that there's spirit trapped in between two worlds. If it's the coming and going at different times and you feel these loving feelings, then it's a spirit that is transitioned. If you have been in one house and you've gone to another, does the spirit world who have transitioned know that? Of course they do. They know everything, they see everything, they feel everything. So that isn't the case. However, what it could be is that you are not feeling them because the house might not be as easy to come into. This is another subject. So what I normally tend to do is just two things. I say to the client before I go into the house, one, are you having trouble with the spirit that is in the house, and do you want them to leave this house and never come back? And if they say yes, then what I do is I do a cleanse of the house. Okay, because normally when they said yes, I just want it to go. Normally that spirit trapped in between two worlds, it's a heavy, dense energy, and it normally causes some problems in the house, many problems, sometimes terrible problems. So what I'll do is I'll do a cleansing. Now, if you watch my second most favorite video on here, if you go under favorite videos, the most watched, it's about cleansing negative energy in a house. And the way I did that was to cleanse the whole of the house with sage, not going around with a stick, but literally causing mass smoke everywhere, in every room, every drawer, every cupboard, toilet, bathroom, attic, and the basement, everywhere. So it's everywhere. Once I've cleansed that house thoroughly, I walk out of the house, leaving all the doors and windows shut tight, so that smoke will then help the spirit, or it will help you clear the spirit from that house. Your question will be, where did that spirit trapped in between two worlds go? I don't have that answer fully. Has this ever happened that a negative spirit trapped in between two worlds come back in a loving way? I don't really know that, because mainly what happened for me is that I was called to houses where there was problems, and the problems had nothing to do with their family in the spirit world. So it wasn't their family who was causing problems, it was somebody else's spirit that they knew nothing about. So I don't really have the answer to that to say to answer to you, well, if it was my brother or it was my wife who passed into the world and she caused problems. Never really got that. I got that my wife passed into the light and I can feel her in the house. Is it causing problems? No, it's not. I love it. Well, there's nothing needs to be done. However, if it is a problem, I would sage, and then sage would clear that spirit. And I've never had a situation where I've cleared a spirit and it's come back to the house. It's simply just gone. So whether it's transitioned back home or not, I'm not sure. I don't have the answer to that. But a lot of people have always asked me, where's that spirit gone? And I said, I don't know. Has it gone somewhere else? I don't know. Has it come back? Never. Spirit's never come back. That was trapped in between two worlds that I couldn't. And the reason why I use sage a lot of the times is because I can't connect to that trapped spirit, because they're stubborn, they're angry, they're aggressive, they are kind of in a dark place. So sometimes I just want it to go, and so does the family. We don't want that trouble anymore. So going back to the situation of this beautiful soul who said, I've moved house and I don't feel my fur baby. Did that fur baby move into the light in that house? And was it kind of a beautiful transition, or could it have been stuck? Meaning that there are times that when a spirit is about to move into the light, and this again is so deep and so complicated, you might think I'm full of BS, but there are so many different circumstances. It's not as simple as I'd love to share with you. But imagine if you loved somebody and you were in a body of four legs and you loved your owner, which could have been a woman or a man or a whole family. At the point of transitioning, going back home, you thought, I want to stay and I want to be with them. I want to take care of them. I want to look after them. And I'd rather stay here than transition back home. Then what you have is a spirit trapped in between two worlds, not particularly in denial, but somebody who just decided to stay in the in-between because they felt more comfortable in that. So the question is, did that happen? Did your pet move into the light there, or did it move into the light when you took it to, say, a place where they had an injection and moved into the light there? So if the story is, I don't really know your story, but how I perceive it and saw it over the years and how I came to understand it, and I might not have all the answers, but if they moved into the light in your home and they're in the light in your home in the sense that they come and go, then you will feel them because the house is filled with love and it's easy for spirit to come through. If you've moved into another house and the energy in that house is dense and you haven't cleansed it and cleared it and made it strong, then it might be difficult for your fur baby who moved into the light to come into the new house. So what I would suggest is cleanse the house with sage thoroughly. I mean, a real thorough cleanse. Please do it properly, or else you'll be saying he's talking rubbish. If you do it right, then you'll find that you will feel the presence of your four-legged spirit friend that will come back, because when you cleanse a house thoroughly, the energy in that house changes. So imagine the spirit world is here on an energetic level and your house is here on an energetic level which is low. If you sage the house, this is what happens. Spirit is able to come to that level and you're able to bring the house to that level. So that would be something I would look at. The other questions, one of them, which is a very, very brilliant and powerful question, is, I have a spirit in my house that I don't want to leave. If I sage my house, will the spirit just end up leaving? Now, here's the thing. I can't guarantee you, without being there and knowing whether that spirit in denial or trapped in between two worlds, which is the same thing. If it is and you sage the house, the chances are that spirit will go. Now, when they've gone, I don't know whether they've transitioned into the spirit world with sage, because I don't fully have all the answers. But if you want that spirit, okay, let's look at it another way. If you have spirit coming into your house all the time, if that spirit is from the spirit world because they've fully transitioned, if you cleanse the house with sage, it actually helps them come into the house even more. So what I'm saying is sage has some kind of power, connection, some energy, some vibration, some frequency that makes it easier for spirit to come into the house. It's incredible. So when I do a healing session or a reading, if I sage the room, it's so much easier for spirit that has moved into the light to come to me and flow through me, or to come to you. And that's been proven so many times. So it's something I used to say in a house. Do you want this spirit to be in this house? Yes. Then there's no point me saging it thoroughly. You can sage it a little bit, and then spirit can move away from that sage and go into another room. And when that sage has disappeared, then that spirit can come back in time into that room. But if you really feel that this spirit is causing issue and it's trapped here, then we can sage it and it will instantly go away, and that will never come back again, in my understanding. Now, you've got to understand, I've only been doing this for 20 years, but I've been doing it daily, and I've traveled the whole of the world, and my experience brings me to where I am now and my understanding. That doesn't mean my understanding is correct. It means it's only what I've shared and my experience. So this is what I've learned thus far. And what I learned thereafter, I will share with you again. But what I've shared with you today, hopefully you can take segments, snippets from it, and you can say, okay, now I kind of know what I need to do, and I'll try that and see how it goes. I don't know if I've answered that question fully for you, because I don't know all your circumstances, but you can understand now how complicated it can be when you ask that question, because it's not a simple case of yes or no, and it's not a case of do this, do that, because you need to understand that circumstance more. And you might say, well, you're a psychic, you should know. No, I don't work like that. I go into the house and feel where I feel. If I don't feel anything, I'm sorry, mate, I don't feel anything. Nothing I can do here, because I can't connect to what you're saying. Has that happened? There's been times I've walked into a house and said, I don't feel anything. And then somebody said, yeah, the guys turned around and said, yeah, we just tricked you, just to see. I mean, I've had 3 or 4 occasions when I first started that people were trying to trick me. So it's like, why did you do that? What a waste of energy. What a stupid thing to do. I'm only here to say, this is what I feel, this is what I don't feel. So I'm sorry, I can't. There were many times I went into offices, companies that called me and travelled for an hour, 2 hours, gone into a place and said, there's actually nothing I need to do here. The energy's fine. And like the guy or the woman said, that's amazing. Yeah, we just wanted to check. And how much do I owe you? I say, you owe me no, because I didn't do any work. Well, you've travelled all this way. It's okay, no problem. We'll have a coffee and sit down and have a chat. And, I'm just really happy that I didn't really need to do anything. Really, it's nice when it's nice energy in a house, and nice when it's nice energy in a local, we call them locals here, office. But there were times that people said to me, would you cleanse the place anyway? And I'd say, if you want me to, of course I will, if it makes you feel better. And I really probably cleanse them more than the office. Or the people who worked in the office. If they allowed me to, I'd give them a cleanse and a bit of healing. So my work was quite fascinating, really, and not filled with ego, more excitement to know what I'm going to attune to or not. I never got upset whenever I attuned to something. I don't feel anything. I'm not an ego doctor who has to come up with the answer. Sometimes I just don't know. But what I have learned is to be open, and cleansing is a beautiful thing. And I guess to end this note, the question was, why, will my fur baby come to me where I am? I don't know. But what I can say is that if you cleanse the place with sage and keep the energy high and sit and meditate a little bit and call them, then if the fur baby isn't trapped in between 2 worlds in that house, then they will be able to come to you if they transition to the spirit world. What you might have to do is go back to that very house that you lived in and ask the owners for permission to cleanse the house with sage. That way they can transition to the spirit world, and then if they come to see you, it will be a lot lighter, it will be a lot more faint, it won't be as strong, because trapped spirit, it's more dense energy, so you feel it more. Whereas when they've left, it's subtle. It's a more subtle energy. Obviously, it's more beautiful and subtle. So I hope this video serves you well. Yeah, I'm no expert, guys. What I've learned is one thing. The more I've learned, the more I realize I don't know, because there's so much to learn. But that's the exciting part about this work. And that's the exciting part about the spirit world. Why should we know everything? Surely there should be some things in the spirit world that when we get back, wow, I realize I know nothing. But what little we know, we share our truth with love. And yeah. Thank you so much, guys, for going to markbajerski.com, and thank you for signing up for our next beautiful course where you get to learn all of this and more. See you on the 14th for our first of this year's Pure Energy Healing online course. The link will be below, and I'll see you on the course for those 4 days. Should be a life-changing experience. Take care. Thank you.